What's up, everybody? It's Kofi J here with another mix tutorial. We're working on 1,000 Miles Covered by Joshua Brockington. He's a great singer, songwriter, piano player, and producer. He produced this whole thing. Yesterday, all I did was clean up, put all the tracks where they're supposed to be in my session, in my template, and then I got rid of some of the empty space so I know where things are. And I think I did balancing. Yes, I did balancing as well. Volume balancing only and panning balancing. So I might still pan some stuff here and there, but for the most part, all the volumes are at a decent level. They're not great because they need a lot of EQ and compression and all that stuff, but a decent starting point. And we're going to try to knock this out pretty quickly. Right now, I want to go through the lead vocal and work on tuning and aligning, make sure he's on a good rhythm. I think most of his rhythms are pretty tight throughout. I don't like to change people's rhythms too much because if that's what they're satisfied with, then keep it. But if it starts to get awkward, maybe I'll nudge it a little bit. But it's a conversation to be had. And then after this, after tuning and getting the premix done, I like to call this the premix, where you're basically tuning the vocals, making sure all the vocals are tight, no like mouth clicks and all kinds of getting rid of all the messiness in the vocals. Usually vocals, sometimes guitar too, and whatever is recorded live, you have to do this. So when it's a live instrumentation and live performance, it's a lot of editing. But yeah, so I'm gonna basically do a lot of that editing today and right now, and then we'll move on to the mix after that.
Making my way downtown, walking fast, faces passing,
So what key is that? Looks like it's. I don't want to guess. Let's find out what key it is. Oh, straight. It's in C. That's great. And the way I did that, if you see my key commands are down here, they show up on the left side of the screen. Well, my left side. And to make a new software track really easily, it's just Command Option S, and then what did I do? Oh, to pull up the MIDI keyboards, Command K. Okay, since we're in C major, yeah, let's go ahead and get his vocals super tight. I'm gonna put auto. Actually, I might not have to tune too many notes once the auto tune is on. I gotta fix that, whatever that pop up was. I just switched computers not too long ago. I'm on a Mac Studio now, feeling great. So far, sessions have been going well. But I think my template's still kind of jacked up, so I'm gonna have to make a new template one of these days because it still have the same issues I had on the other computer, which makes no sense because this is like 10 times more powerful. Okay, so flex tune, I want to turn this pretty high because I want it to keep it sounding natural, and I want to keep it in modern mode for that. And then the retune speed, let's just start at 20 and see what it sounds like.
making my way downtown, walking fast, faces passing,
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. It's pretty natural sounding. It's low, and I'm looking at the waveform right now compared to the other parts of the song. So I'm gonna gain it up, just visually look and just try to make it similar to these. We want to retain the dynamics a bit, so we don't want to do it too drastically because I think he wants to make it swell at certain spots. All right, let's listen to the rest. Well, this whole section's low. Okay. And basically, the bigger the chunks you move, the more you're going to retain the dynamics. If you're over here, every single waveform you're adjusting the level, then it's number one, it's not going to sound very natural. And then number two, it'll be flat. There'll be no dynamics in it because you just took them away. All right, let's see what we got.
making my way downtown, walking fast, faces. Making my way downtown, walking fast, faces passing,
Let's go ahead and put that last note right on. But that sounds really natural and really good to me. So I don't want to change it too much. He doesn't need to sound like a robot. Even this, I might have overdid it. Should have left it alone. All right, it's hard to hear, so I'm going to solo it.
Faces passing, I'm homebound. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I'm staring blankly. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
So it's a G. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Sounds good.
I'm staring blankly ahead, just making way down through the crowd, making way down through the crowd, making way down through the crowd, making way down through the crowd.
Oh, yeah. Nice run. G, A. So I'm putting these on C major notes. Singers are usually very particular about runs, so you want to make sure the runs are clean as possible. The best way is to deliver it clean, but then we can come here and fix it up too. Let's see what this sounds like. That's a little sharp. I hope this is in C.
Staring blankly ahead, just making way down through the crowd.
The only part that sounds funny is here. Come on. Okay. So it seems like it just sounds funny in general. So let's see. Let's see if we can make it sound less funny. That sounds less manipulated. Let's see. It's not bad. I like that. Nice. Beautiful. Okay. Let's listen to it with music.
Making my way downtown, walking fast, faces passing, I'm homebound. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I'm staring blankly ahead, just making way down through the crowd. If I could fall.
All right, here we go.
If I could fall, if I could fall into the sky.
I'm gonna see what he feels about this long F, but I'm with it if he wants to keep it. Honestly, this is the take he chose, so I'm not mad at it.
If I could fall into the sky, to the sky. Do you think?
Do you think?
Do you think?
So these should be B's.
Do you think?
Okay. I want to keep some of that vibrato he had.
Do you think?
Maybe this shouldn't go as low as it's going.
Do you think time? Do you think time? Do you think time? Do you think time? Pass me. Do you think time? Do you think?
It's getting a little loud. So I'm going to gain it down here, see if that helps. If it doesn't, it's a frequency thing.
Do you think time? Do you think time?
I think that took care of it.
Pass me by. Pass me by.
Kind of wish he would have sent this without auto-tune, because I can make it sound clean without the auto-tuning sound. I think the auto-tune sound's kind of already on there. Let me back off the respeed on mine, but I think it's not going to make a difference.
If I could fall into the sky, do you think time would pass me by? 'Cause
Yeah, I think he already has auto-tune.
pass me by. Pass me by.
There's a little weird glitch there, too.
Pass me by. 'Cause you.
I will make a note of that. It might rear its ugly head in mastering really badly, so we'll see. Wait till the end to decide about that.
Pass me by, 'cause you know I'd walk 1,000 miles to find.
Nice.
'Cause you know I'd walk 1,000 miles.
Oops, pressed the wrong button. There we go.
1,000 miles if I could just see you.
See
See you.
you. Let's see.
See you.
Yep.
Tonight. Tonight. Times like these when I think of. Times like these when I think of you, and I wonder if you think of me.
What?
Days when I think of you, and I wonder if you think of me.
Okay, that was a glitch. That was weird.
Oh yeah, babe. Oh yeah, babe.
It was a little unnatural.
Oh yeah, babe. Oh yeah, babe.
Much better.
Oh yeah, babe. 'Cause everything is wrong and everything is wrong and I don't belong. Living in your precious memories. Don't belong. Living in your precious memories. Precious memories. 'Cause everything is wrong and everything is wrong and I don't belong. Living in your precious memories. 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 Precious
I mean, no shade. It's not the best recording ever, but there's a lot of tools I can do to clean up. Makes for a great tutorial. I'm hearing some mouth clicks and stuff like that. So those are things I got to clean up. But there's tools that make it so much easier these days.
'Cause I need you.
Should be a C.
'Cause I need you.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I need you.
I think we can get to the C a little quicker.
'Cause I need you. And I miss you. And I miss you.
Yeah.
And I miss you. And now I want.
Let's clean that up. And should be a G, I think. And now probably A. Let's see.
And now I want. And now I want. And now I wonder if
A little too perfect. I think it's the autotune he already has on there. Again.
Into the sky, do you think time? Into the sky, do you think time would pass me by? 'Cause
All right, got them runs.
would pass me by. 'Cause you know that I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just walk 1,000 miles if I could just miles if I could just see you tonight.
All right.
Tonight, yeah. See you 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 tonight. See you tonight, yeah. See you tonight.
This part sounds a little funny to me. It sounds a little manipulated. Let's see.
See you tonight.
Yeah, I still hear it. Let me go back to original for these.
See you tonight. Tonight. Tonight.
I think that's a little better.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just to see you tonight. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Need to hear it clearly when I'm doing these edits.
Just to see you tonight. Hey, yeah.
Nice.
Hey, yeah.
Clean that ending up just a little bit.
Right. Hey, yeah.
Great.
I need you. I need you.
Yeah, I think it sounded better before.
I need you. I miss you. I miss you. Talk from me. I just wanna let you know. I don't wanna let this go. I don't wanna let you go. Don't forget me. I just wanna let you know. I don't wanna let you go. I don't let this go. Don't
There's a little glitch there. Let's get rid of that.
this go. Don't forget this go. Don't
Still there.
this go. Don't.
Okay. Oh, before we do that, let's go ahead and use a new project alternative. Duplicate this so that when I destructively change this, I still have another copy on a different playlist. So I can always go back to the old copy. All right, let's hide it. I like the default on DClick a lot, so I'm just going to leave it at the default. Let's check it out first. Sounds like it gets rid of it. Hit apply. Wait, did I hit apply? I think I did.
I don't wanna let this go. Don't forget me.
Oh, for some reason it made it longer. Oh boy. But that's why you have a copy under here so you can do it again if need be. Maybe it has something to do with flex. Okay, let's put this on a different track where there's no flex. So the way to do that is I can take this one off or I can duplicate the track. Gonna option click this region. Turn off flex. Okay, flex is off. Now let me do the declick. Okay, this one looks the same size. Great. So now it should be good.
Wanna let this go. Don't forget me.
Cool.
Let this go. Don't forget me.
Oh, we're almost done. Great.
This go. Don't forget me. Don't forget me, don't forget me, don't forget me.
Sounds good. Let me get this last note. All right. Let's see what that sounds like. Now that we fixed up the vocal, let's go ahead and add. Oh, wait. Did I just fix A, not B? Oh, shoot. Oh, well, it's okay. I can just replace it with B. Okay. So I think the last couple of edits I did it on the wrong playlist. It should be in playlist B, not A. So I think that's correct.
I don't wanna let this go. Don't forget me, don't.
Okay, for some reason, this gap in the go sounds awkward. So I'm going to take the original gap. Whoa.
This go. Don't forget me, don't.
All right, seems good now.
This go. Don't forget me, don't forget me, don't.
All right, let's just double check that the flex pitch that I did at the end is there still. It is. Okay, great. Let's listen to it, and I'm gonna start doing some EQ and compression. Wow, actually, I'm gonna clean up the mouth declicks and the pop filter stuff first. So I've duplicated this track. I'm going to highlight all of these and do selection-based processing. I think I'm gonna do them all at the same time too. So I'm gonna go back to RX. RX defaults are amazing, by the way. They take care of most issues, especially plosives. The default on this, just leave it alone, run it. It get rid of those big P sounds, and then the mouth declicks where you can hear him like open his mouth or close his mouth. Usually that's a result of the gain being turned up too much when you're recording. Just turn the gain down and turn the output up. A lot of times there's an input knob, which is like preamp gain, and then there's an output. So if the preamp gain is super high, you're gonna hear when I open my mouth and all kind of stuff. But most of the time you do that to get more volume. Turn the output knob up instead of the preamp knob. Okay, mouth declick and deplosives. And I'm gonna apply it to all these regions, and it'll get rid of all the P sounds and the mouth declicks. All right, that's done. I'm gonna start working on the E compression of this lead vocal. He said the whole caption was if the whitest white song was black or something like that, and so that's what got him inspired to make this track. And so I want to mix this as urban or black or whatever you want to call it as possible without it, you know. So there's a way, I guess, with hip hop and with R&B that things are sound sonically, and so there's certain plugins you use to try to get that sonic sound. And I'm gonna basically stick to those kind of plugins. So one of them being the SSL console. So I think I'm gonna use the SSL from UAD. I do have this one, but I'm not very familiar with it, so I don't want to use it right now. But I'll use it eventually. But I love the SSL the UAD has, and it basically is the emulation of the console, and it has compression, EQ, and everything all built within it. I don't want to use the legacy version. The legacy version is a more digital friendly version, like a more DSP power version. So if you know what DSP is, doesn't really matter in this conversation. But yeah, I want to use the regular version that has no modifications. All right, let's listen to it. I'm going to be working on the compressor, which is this dynamic session section of the console strip. And then I'm going to be using the EQ as well. Oh, and one little note: if you gain the line in more, you'll get more of an analog sound than you would if you leave it at -20 or something like that. That's where there's all these output knobs, so you can crank this up and then turn this down or whatever if you want a very analog sounding song.
Making my way downtown, walking fast.
Okay, yeah, we're not gonna do it on acapella.
Making my way downtown, walking fast. Faces passing.
Since we're in a digital age, I like to cheat and look at a graphic EQ while still using an analog EQ, where you can't see the actual waveforms coming through. So if this looks like it's boomy at 250, I can do a cut here at 250, or I could do it on this on this EQ, but they sound slightly different. You would think cutting 250 hertz is just cutting 250 hertz no matter what you use, but there's lots of different styles of EQs, and they all sound different a little bit different when you cut them or use their plugin.
Making way down through the crowd. If I could fall into the sky, do you think time would pass me by? 'Cause you know I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just see you tonight. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just to see you tonight. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Everything is wrong and I don't belong. Living in your precious memories. Everything is wrong.
Boost some 2K to get a little bit more presence. I got rid of the muddy cut a little bit. I am hearing some de-essing that's probably going to be needed later, so I'm going to go ahead and load that. But let me bypass it for now. All right, I want to hear different parts of the vocal as well.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I'm staring blankly ahead, just making a way down through the crowd. If I could fall into the sky, do you think time would pass me by? 'Cause you know I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just see you.
That's one thing most engineers do is they'll boost something like a ton just to overdo it to make sure you're hearing what you think you're hearing. Because sometimes you think, oh, I'm boosting this mid range and I'm boosting this slightly, but you're boosting a frequency that you're not really hearing because you're doing it so slight. You think you're doing it, but you're not. So it's good to just go overdo it to make sure that you're hearing the part of the frequency that you're trying to adjust before you dial it in.
Pass me by, 'cause you see you tonight. Yeah, 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 yeah. Just to see you tonight. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. It's times like these when I think of you, and I wonder if you think of me. Oh, yeah, baby. 'Cause everything is wrong and I don't belong. Living in your precious memories. 'Cause I need you and I miss you, and now I wonder if I could fall into the sky. Do you think time would pass me by? 'Cause you know that I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just see you tonight. Yeah.
That's sounding good. There's some moments where he gets kind of nasally sounding, and I think it's because I boosted this EQ. So let's take it back to 0. I'll worry about boost later.
Aaron Blakely ahead, just making a way down through the crowd. If I could fall into the sky, do you think time?
This is C. So let's see. They used to have the notes here and tell you what note it is at what frequency. It's probably something with the setting. Let me just figure out what frequencies lie on C. So I'm looking at probably 130 or 261. All right, let's check it out. I think it's the 130 one that's getting me.
Pass me by, 'cause you know I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just see you tonight.
That worked beautifully. I don't hear that low buildup anymore on those low notes.
Pass me by, 'cause you know I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just see you tonight. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just to see you tonight. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. It's times like these when I think of you, and I wonder if you think of me. Oh yeah, baby, 'cause everything is wrong and
So it sounds good. Just feel like I'm missing some presence. So somewhere in this mid range needs to be boosted. Maybe it's 1.5K. Maybe it's 2K. We don't want it to sound too nasally. We don't want it to sound harsh. But somewhere I want it to be more present. It needs to come out a little bit more, and I'm good.
ooh, just to see you tonight. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. It's times like these when I think of you, and I wonder if you think of me.
One trick I use sometimes is I'll press automation. There's a setting in Logic where if you touch the parameter, it'll show up here. It doesn't by default do this. I think you have to go into preferences somewhere. I forgot what it's called, honestly. Sorry. But if you go into preferences, once you touch a knob, it'll switch over to what parameter it is so you can automate it easier. But I'm not even using it for automation yet. I'm using it to know what the gain is and what the frequency is. Because on these knobs, you kind of have to guess. So this is 1.5, right? Okay, this is going to be guessing 2. This would be guessing 3. But you don't know if you're exactly at it. So this will help you determine if you're exactly at it and how many dB you're boosting and cutting by.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. It's times like these when I think of you, and I wonder if you think of me. Oh yeah, baby, 'cause everything is wrong and I don't belong, living in your precious memories. into the sky. Do you think time would pass me by? 'Cause you know that I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just see you tonight. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just to see you tonight. Hey, yeah.
Dope. I think that's a great starting point. Let's double check these background vocals. So what I'm gonna do is they're all set to a certain default that I have. Looks like 10, 90, 50. That honestly should be good. So this default should be strong. It's good. They're all in C. I have to make sure that there's no accidental notes that are supposed to be in there. So notes that aren't in the key. But the one way I can change all of them at once to C major would be to, whoa, they changed auto key. Okay. So I can pick the key, C major, and then I can send it to auto-tune. And when you press send it to auto-tune, every instance of auto-tune that's not bypassed will change to C major. So if I go back to those backgrounds again, click the auto-tune, they say C major now. Now let's go through all the background vocals and make sure they sound good. And while we're here, I might as well copy and paste what I did for the lead vocal EQ and compression to the backgrounds. Sounds great. All right, that's wonderful. I don't really think there's much else. So let's copy and paste the same thing onto, oh, I think I did move something maybe. So I'm going to take the background track and put it on this bus. One thing I do need to change though is the Eosis. I have to change this from solo vocal to background vocals because it'll do more of a stereo de-essing. And my background vocals are stereo. They're bus panned left and right. So that has to be done. Let me copy and paste that onto each background track. And then for the lead ad-lib track buses, there's two of them. I'm going to use the same as the lead vocal. Now, all the vocals should sound really good now, sonically. And we're going to check the tune and also the level a little bit. So actually what I'm going to do is just play the piano, the main piano, and maybe the basses. That's fine. So let's just get rid of a few of these instruments. Only reason I'm doing that is just so I can hear clearly what's going on without listening to conflicting signals at the same time. All right, here we go. Something's not right.
Making my way downtown, walking fast, faces passing, I'm home. Oh, yeah. I'm staring blankly ahead, just making a way down through the crowd. If I could fall into the sky, do you think time pass me by. 'Cause you know I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just see you tonight. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just to see you tonight. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. There's times like these when I think of you, and I wonder if you think of me. Oh, yeah, baby. 'Cause everything is wrong and I don't belong, living in your precious memories. 'Cause I need you and I miss you, and now I want.
Let me hear that need again. Something about that was a little weird.
I need you,
Nope, it's good.
I miss you.
All right, maybe it was the piano. Nope, good.
'Cause I need you and I miss you, and now I wonder if I could fall into the sky. Do you think time would pass me by? 'Cause you know that I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just see you tonight. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just to see you tonight. Hey, yeah. I miss you.
Can't missing this note right here.
I need you. I miss you. Don't walk away from me. I just wanna let you know I don't wanna let this go. I don't wanna let you go. Don't forget me. I just wanna let you know I don't wanna let you go. I don't wanna let this go. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. Don't forget me.
Oh yeah, we're in a good place. Okay, let's start mixing. Honestly, we already started mixing the vocals, so those sound pretty good. Now let's just build this instrumental up first from the ground up and go from there. So I'm gonna start with this deep bass and these drums, because when the drums kick in, it's very unexpected. You're hoping they kick in, but then it takes so long. You're not sure if they're gonna kick in, but then they do. I want that. I want it to slap, and I want it to sound beautiful at the same time. Okay, so let's work with this. Oops, this sub first, and work our way up the frequency spectrum. Sounds great. Let's make it mono. It's the same on both sides, you can tell. A lot of times putting the bass in mono, and it's always going to be solid because the strength comes from the middle of the mix. Because if you were playing a song on a speaker that had a mono system, didn't have two speakers, it was just one speaker, like you're in an elevator or a lot of stores or the street or whatever, you don't have two speakers to make a stereo image, but you also don't need two speakers to make a stereo image. But essentially, putting it in mono is going to make the mix stronger, and it's going to sound good. The bass is going to sound good everywhere. I like that. This sounds pretty good. I don't really want to change it. Let's just worry about this layer. Okay, so there's a lot of overlap going on in this layer, frequencies wise, and I think I like the clean frequency of the sub bass better. So I'm going to high pass this signal, this synth layer. All right, cool. I don't really mind that they occupy the same width and all that stuff because this one, this edgy synth bass, is taking up the highs. I might low pass filter this sub one just to get even more clarity. Yeah, that sounds good. All right, we got those two together. Now let's worry about these drums. I'm gonna definitely squash these, put some color to it, make them slap. I turned the volume way up though in my studio because I want to hear the bass and the drums clearly. Okay, so from the beginning, I knew I wanted to compress this crate digger loop. I'm gonna go back to the SSL, add another one. This one, I don't mind being legacy because it's not as necessary as the vocal one was. I just want the controls of a compressor and an EQ. Honestly, I'm going to go ahead and throw that on there too. Slate has a default, what do they call it? Virtual channels. These channels right here that just sound good on stuff. So you just put it on stuff. It just literally gives us some harmonic distortion. It makes things sound good. So I'm going to go to drums, drum bus polish or tight and punchy. Let's try it. Let's see what they sound like. Let me bypass this SSL for a second. Okay, so most of the presets just had these two plugins in there, the EQ and the compressor. So I'm just going to get rid of the EQ because I'm going to do that here. And then let's worry about the compression here. Well, actually, I don't even want that. I want the harm. I want this mix bus thing on there. With it, just slightly a little bit more presence. It's not hugely noticeable, but now I want to compress it using the SSL because right now I think it's just too dynamic. I want it to be like one controlled drum groove that I can move up and down. Actually, that little bell thing is kind of getting on my nerves. So I'm using a stem splitter and see if it'll split it up. Maybe it'll take the bell out. And no, it didn't. Dang. All right, let me just undo that. Fader actually has a tool that's able to do that, but I haven't been able to get it to work right. So let me try one time. If it doesn't work, then I'll move on and just do it the way I was going to do it before. Okay, so let's duplicate this track just so I can always come back to it. Okay, let's try the website because I would like to turn that bell down. That bell is kind of obnoxious. I could probably EQ it out, but it would affect the snare and stuff. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is bounce this track, export it actually, because I don't want the effects on there. So let's bypass effects. Let's do cycle range. No overload protection. All right. So now I'm on the Fader the Fader website. It's fader.com/stems. I want to destem this drum loop. So I drag and drop into there. It analyzes it. Okay, Fader got the stems. Now I want to do more stems. And I want to separate drums. Let's just wait for it while it stems those drums out. Hopefully it'll separate the bell and the snare and the kick and everything. So yeah, looks like Fader did it. Now let's download them. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is how you do it. You just download the stems. I'm just gonna download everything and then delete whatever's empty. All right, stems downloaded. All the tracks. A bunch of them should be empty. But let's create some new tracks after importing them into the session. It's changing the sample rate. Means Fader probably changed the sample rate too. But that's okay. All right, now we got the drums broken down into different pieces. We'll take the ones with actual information on it and go ahead and drag it up to my drum bus. I need to move everything back to bar 1. I can delete these. Bass, other, and vocal. Yeah, nothing on there. Okay, let's delete these 3. All right, let's listen to our broken down drums. I can mute this one. I want to run it through the drum bus that right now is going to stereo out, so we need to go to drum bus. All right, bust all those tracks to drum bus. Now let's listen to each part of the drums that it broke out. Now label it appropriately. This is the whole thing. Okay, so this is the cymbal. I'm actually going to call it cymbal bell. That's the thing I was trying to get rid of or turn down. Sounds like it's the whole thing as well. Probably don't need that. Okay, this is mostly kick, and this is likely mostly snare. Yep, and this is the full loop. All right, now let's turn this bell way down, see if it sounds good still. All right, now the plugins I put on the drum loop, I'm going to change and put them on the drum bus because now I want them all processed through this SSL. Probably don't need SSL and Shadow Hills, so I'm going to bypass Shadow Hills for now. It's just another compressor. So now I have so much more freedom to do what I want with this drums. I want to put the bells to the right, left a little bit, turn it down. I think think I did turn it down already. Maybe EQ it so it's not so shiny in my ear. And I can get rid of the low end on it. All right, let's just make the drum sound good with the bass. Now, using the AI did introduce a little bit of noise. It did introduce a little bit of noise, so I want to put some noise gates on there. I'm going to try to use the NS1 from Waves, see if that takes care of the noise, see if it works. Cleaned it right up. Can't even tell anymore. The only thing I'm hearing is that I feel like the snare could be a little heavy in certain frequencies when it hits. So I could compress it or I could it. I'm just going to EQ it because I already like the compression that's going on right now. So let's EQ it. I really like how the kick sounds too, but I want to add a little bit of color to it. I'm going to use this classic compressor, Teletronics LA2A, just to give it some nice warmth in the kick. It's totally optional. It's not necessary at all, but I just think it's going to make it sound better. All right, and I'm going to try one more thing. I'm going to add Devil Lock on there just to give it some more grit. It sounds good as is, but let me just see if this sounds better or not. Okay, so this noise thing is not necessarily working as great as I thought it would. Let me try to use C Suite, see if this sounds better. Yeah, that thing slaps. That sounds crazy. All right, I don't know if it's too much. Maybe it is. Maybe I can just turn it down. I know it's loud. So let me turn down the SSL. Maybe that'll help. So yeah, the name of the game in mixing is balance. Balance is king. I'm probably gonna add some reverb to this, but I'm gonna do it later. I'm gonna do all the reverb at the same time. So everything's gonna be dry until we have a great mix, and then I'm gonna add reverb to really make things shine and sound beautiful. All right, so let's see how we sounding going into this drum and bass part with just the vocals, drum and bass.
I could fall into the sky. Do you think time would pass me by? 'Cause you know I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just see you tonight. Yeah, 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 yeah. Just to see you tonight.
So I'm gonna turn down the lead vocal a bit, and I'm gonna turn down all the vocals because they're already balanced with each other. So I just grabbed each vocal bus and turned it down the same amount. Actually, I forgot a couple of them. These two as well. So the vocal ratios stay the same between each other. They might change again, but it's just it might save some time. Whoa. Okay. Looks like it crashed on me. That was weird. Okay. Don't know why that crashed at all, but it did. I was just doing volumes. Yeah, it's weird. Okay, everything's still highlighted, which is good. So let me just pull it down appropriately.
You know I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just see you tonight. Yeah, 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 yeah. Just to see you tonight. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. And
That sounded dope. I like how the kick was kind of loud, but not too loud. And when we put reverb on that kick, it's going to sound dope. All right, cool. We got that much. Okay. Now let's add the piano. It's the next most important instrument. And let's dial that one in.
making my way downtown, walking fast, faces passing, I'm home.
Lately, I've just been in love with this LA2A on piano. So let's just start with I think they have a piano. No? I think they had a piano preset. Maybe not. But it just brings it to life without having to do much.
Faces passing, I'm home. Staring blankly ahead, just making a way down
Yeah, I can hear so much more detail in the piano now. So I'm just dialing it in volume wise, and that might be it. Let's see. I also want to high pass filter it because sometimes piano can have some low end stuff that you don't really need, especially when you have bass and stuff going on. So yeah, let's high pass filter it. 50 sounds appropriate, honestly.
Faces passing, I'm staring blankly ahead, just making way down through the crowd. If I could fall into the sky, do you think time faces passing, I'm
All right, since the piano is like such a pivotal part and the vocals are too, I want them both sitting in the middle, but I don't want them fighting each other. So I'm going to use this track spacer to sidechain the vocal, just the lead vocal though. I think I want the lead vocal to pop through. Backgrounds is like whatever right now for me on this. All right, so most of the speech intelligibility is between 2 to 4K. I'm going to go to 5K for now, down to 1K. And I want, no, not 1K. Yeah, 1K. What I want is the vocals to dominate these frequencies, even if the piano is playing. So when I press play on this, the vocals, when they come in, you'll see a dip here. And this is how much I'm dipping by.
faces passing, I'm staring blankly ahead, just making way down through the crowd.
Instant vocal clarity. I also want to make this a little wider. I feel like it's a little bit too on top of the vocal. So I'm going to use Polyverse Music Wider plugin to do that.
Faces passing, I'm staring blankly ahead, just making way down through the crowd.
Instantly, the piano's plenty loud, but the vocal, you can hear every single word clearly. I'm actually going to turn the piano down just even a little bit more, but it sounds really good now.
Faces passing, I'm staring blankly ahead, just making way down through the crowd. If I could fall into the sky, do you think time would pass me by? 'Cause you know I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just see you tonight. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just to see you tonight. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. It's times like these when I think of you.
Yeah, really going to make that kick sound bomb with a little bit of verb. Okay, that sounds much better balanced to me.
See you tonight. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just to see you tonight. Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, so one thing I want to do, I want that probably the high EQ. I'll use CLA unplugged. I want to make the piano more present, especially at that part, because that lick is so important to the song and to the message of the concept of the song, which was taking 1,000 miles and making it way more black. So getting that piano riff, having that more audible is very key. So I'm putting this plug-in on there, CLA Unplugged. It really just brings presence and brightness and stuff, especially the pianos. This Piano Man template is great, but sometimes it overdoes it, so I just go ahead and knock it down just a little bit. Okay, now I don't really ever lose the piano. I hear it throughout the whole thing, but it's not. I can still hear the lyrics in the vocals, so that's great. Let's move on to the next thing. I think this layer would probably be good. So for this layer, I already know I don't want a lot of that low end because I already have it on so many other layers. But this was the layer that yesterday I felt like I had it on the tonal instruments, but I was like, this is basically another bass. So I put it on the bass track. It's the top end digital layer. So I see what he's going for with this. Just a little bit of edginess. It's sounding a little strange to me though, so I'm going to put retro color on there just to warm it up a little bit. And then I'm going to EQ out some of that super high and sizzle, but I still want to keep the aggressiveness in there. So it's going to be a little trial and error to get that done. Let's get rid of EQ. Just want distortion a little bit. Okay, I think that's a little bit more manageable. And then I want to compress the crap out of it a little bit. Nah, I don't want to try anything new. Let's go to Slate Digital. This is the one I was thinking of using. It's really an emulation of a very popular compressor called the Distressor. But Slate sounds pretty great and does the exact same thing. All right, now let me add this viola section. All right, I can totally hear where I want this to sit in the mix. First, I'm going to give it a little distortion as well, just like retro color. Just going to give it more grit, more urbanness, and then it'll also make it stand out a little bit more to where I can control it better. I think I want it on both sides, left and right, but just kind of low tucked. and then the background vocals can sit on top of it. And yeah, it'll really help round out and fill out the section, which is basically the biggest section. So this section should probably feel the most full. We still have a bunch of backgrounds to add, so we don't want it to sound super full before we add the backgrounds, but we want to. Oh, actually, there's no backgrounds right here. Second time there is, though. So yeah, we still need to make room for it. Let me go to the second time. All right, just adding this distortion, you can hear the strings so much better. Now let's add wider again. And then we're going to do some EQ work to make it sit in the mix really well. Whoa, I don't want to do mono, I want stereo. There we go. All right, and since we're using a bunch of analog plugins, let's go ahead and use an analog EQ as well. I think Logic's will honestly do the trick. Nah, I ain't got time for that. All right, let's go to the API. I believe it's this one. I always forget. Yep. And this one, I can just boost whatever frequency band I want to boost, and it sounds great. So it's sounding good. I can actually hear the tremolo in this now, but I need to compress it more because it's like I hear it, then it goes away. I hear it, then it goes away. So I need to compress it a little bit tighter so that it can stay heard the whole time. So I just grabbed the more of a transparent type of compressor where it really doesn't change the sonic spectrum of the track. So I want to use that. Like already doing the sonic stuff with the retro color and the API. All right, that sounds good to me. Now let's add the cello.
I just wanna let you know. I just wanna let you know. I don't wanna let you go. I don't wanna let this go. I just wanna let you know. I don't wanna let.
All right, so I'm losing a lot here. We mute these vocals and just work on getting some clarity between the violas, the cello, and the piano. To be honest with you, though, I think it is the samples he used. I think if they could have been a little bit better samples, it would be a little bit more present. But right now, they're getting lost in the mix. So I have to do the best I can to try to bring them out, and so we can hear the details, but without making it too loud and overpowering everything else. One way to get some clarity, honestly, is just to put a tape machine on either the bus or the instrument. I'm going to try to put it on the tonals bus just so I can hear more clarity in the piano, more clarity in the viola, cello, all of that, and then mix into it. I love Slade's default for the default tape machine. It does boost bass a bit. So if you just go to -3 on the bass alignment under settings, usually compensates for the added bass if you don't want the added bass. Okay, now let's try to get some more detail on these strings and piano. Kind of want them to live in the same space ish. So I'm going to start them in the same wideness, and I might move one wider, one closer, depending on if I can hear it well or not. They both could use a lot of reverb, but we'll get to that in a second. But it seems like I can hear both. They sound like one cohesive section when they're playing on top of each other, which is good. Okay, let me add some of these other instruments like this. Make sure it all still sounds good. Yeah, that's solid. Still don't love how this sounds, but it's not bad in the mix. I'll leave it for now. Okay, now add the piano. Let's hopefully the piano doesn't drown everything out. So it definitely interferes. Let's see what it sounds like. Okay, this is 50. All right, let's change the philosophy on this then. I'm going to go back to where the piano was, take the widers off of the strings, and pan one left, pan one right. That way, I still get the full sound because they're both going to play, but they have their own space. I think I want it to be pretty wide, actually, because there's going to be a lot of background vocals in between. Let's go to 55 plus. Let's go 57 maybe. Yeah, let's get, okay, now let's go to 60 and 62. Let's see what that sounds like. Actually, let's go to 60 on both of them. They're totally different instruments. All right, let's leave that for now. They definitely have their own space now. You can hear it a lot better. Let's play it with the lead vocal. But actually, no, let's add these other sub instruments to make sure they're good. But honestly, I feel like, so this is my main low sub. I could do the same effects and level for this one because it's basically the same instrument. Sine sub layer, lick. Layer. Okay. First, let's get through these two, make sure they're balanced when we get rid of this digital. It's a bit louder, not crazy though. Might be okay to be a bit louder because it's doing such a cool run. But let's copy and paste this low pass filter. Paste plugins only. Just because we have high frequency stuff all layered on this part. I remember from yesterday. Yeah, that's really what we need for the sub. So that sounds good. Let's see what this sounds like as a layer. Let me play it by itself. Sounds like you already got rid of a lot of the low end on it. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna use Fab Filter to do the even more high pass filter. So it's already high pass, but I'm gonna do it even more probably. Sounds pretty good. That combined with this, let's see what it sounds like. Very smooth. Okay, let's add this one. Okay, whatever I put on synth layer, I want to put on this one as well. Cool with that. All right, I think I'm done then because the rest are muted. All right, let's see what the balance is on all these instrumental tracks with the lead vocal. Could start from the beginning, but I'm going to start here where it's just piano vocal for most of the beginning anyway. Off rip, the piano's too loud, clearly. Or the vocal's too low, but I think piano's too loud. I think what's going on is adding the CLA made it interfere with the vocal a little bit too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a separate track, and then the hooks, when there's other stuff playing, I'll switch to the CLA version of the piano. Just like right here to right here. So that it pops in the hook, but it goes back more subtle in the verses so we can hear the words. I could also automate this, but I don't want to chop this up that much. It'll be okay. Just have to make sure this transition's smooth and doesn't give me a click. Slight fade. That's too much. It'll be noticeable. Just go very slight. Okay, that's as slight as I can get. Okay, also here I would like to do it, and then let's listen. Oops. Okay, let's listen again, see if we got a better balance.
Into the sky. Do you think time would pass me by? 'Cause you know I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just see you tonight. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just to see you tonight. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. It's times like these when I think of you, and I wonder.
Well, that sounds off. Shoot, I usually duplicate the track. Now I got to go back to the original stems and see if I messed it up. Okay, viola comes in at yeah, it's off by a little bit. I thought so. Wonder how that happened. Okay, I think I'm just gonna replace this track with this one, just so I don't have any issues. It was just that first one that got moved. All right, I don't want this pan super hard right like that, so let's go ahead and automate that panning. I only want it panned super hard when the other strings are playing. So I'm gonna take this and maybe bring it in a bit.
Tonight. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just to see you tonight. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. It's times like these when I think of you.
All right, this digital layer is getting a little annoying to me, so I'm gonna turn it down a little bit more.
See you tonight. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just to see you tonight. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. It's times when I think of you, and I wonder if you think of me. It's times like these when I think of you, and I wonder if you think of me. Baby. 'Cause everything is wrong and I don't belong, living in your precious memories. 'Cause I need you and I miss you, and now I wonder if I could fall into the sky. Do you think time would pass me by? 'Cause you know that I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just see you tonight. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just to see you pass me by. 'Cause you know that I'd walk 1,000 see you.
There's some high frequencies getting a little out of control. If I played it loud, I know it hurt my ears, so I'm trying to tame them a little bit. Got it. All right, let's keep going.
You know that I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just see you tonight. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just to see you tonight. Hey, yeah. I need you. I miss you. Don't walk away from me. I just wanna let you know I don't wanna let this go. I don't wanna let you go. Don't forget me. I just wanna let you know I don't wanna let you go. I don't wanna let this go. Don't forget me, don't forget me, don't forget me.
Oh yeah, we're really close. Okay, so something about this digital layer might be off too, so I'm gonna double check it since I did find an issue with the other track. So let's see what it's called. Breathless pumping. Let's bring it back in and see if it's lined up correctly.